The Toowoomba Mountaineers, you might have seen, if you're a fan of the Toowoomba Mountaineers, the basketball team, you might have seen as you've been scrolling through their webpage or their Facebook page, an advertisement for a position. They were looking for a new member of their statisticians team. They were looking for a spotter. Now, this was a few weeks back. They were looking for a spotter specifically for that particular weekend's matches that had been scheduled at St Mary's. But what does a spotter do? And indeed, what does the whole statistician team do when it comes to a basketball team? And how important are these men or women compared to the players who actually do the training, who actually win the games with their 3 points or 2 points or their fantastic manoeuvres? Well, you might be surprised. And in fact, if you were to sign on as the Mountaineers' new spotter, it could actually provide a career path that might take you all the way to the 2032 Olympics. John Werth can tell us a little bit more. John is the head of the Mountaineers statisticians team, and he joins me now. John Werth, good morning. Welcome. Great to have a chat to you this morning.
Good morning, David. It's nice to chat to you too.
John, I spotted on, I think it was on the Mountaineers Facebook page, an ad or a sort of a push a couple of weeks ago saying that the Mountaineers were looking for a spotter. And I surely can't be the only person who didn't know exactly what a spotter was in the grand scheme of basketball. So what exactly is a spotter that you're on the hunt for at the moment?
Well, that's a little bit tricky to say. A spotter is a member of a team of three, and their job is just to watch for mistakes, I suppose, and substitutions while the game is going on. While the game is going on, we have the caller who is just watching the game and calling the plays, and then we have an inputter who's putting that into a computer. And the spotter's job is to make sure that everything gets into the computer correctly and the right players are on the court as compared to the computer, and that the fouls are correct and the scores are correct as well.
When you say to make sure that all the right information is put into the computer, tell me a little bit more about that. What sort of information are we talking about?
Well, there's quite a variety of information, and this all gets sent out live when we do a QSL and NBL1 live out onto the internet. There's things like shots made, if a shot was missed, so like a 2-point shot was missed, if there was a turnover by a player, if there was a foul by a player, a steal, and a variety of other things like that as well.
So is it fair to say, given that these three positions, the caller, the spotter and the inputter, are purely there for the audience following the game at home rather than sort of record keeping within the club of that particular game?
Oh, no, not entirely. We print off what we call a box score, which summarises statistics collected throughout the game. But we print one off every quarter and pass that on to each coach of the team. And either the coach or the assistant coach will look at those stats and make decisions on the rest of the game. Maybe there's a player that's turning over the ball a lot and they might play that person as much, or there might be a shooter on the other team that's scoring a lot of points and they need to shut down that shooter. And having the numbers on the piece of paper can help verify their suspicions while the game is going on.
So these three positions are not just monitoring your own team, but they're monitoring who's doing what and who's achieving what on the opposition team as well.
Yes. So we do the stat for both teams, yes.
That's incredible. How do they keep track of it all?
You just keep working hard and concentrating and focusing. We have a system. The computer program is set up very nicely and sort of matches the plays as they happen. And the caller has learnt to call the sequences to match the computer. So when everything's running smoothly, it's just call and then click on the computer, and away we go.
So they don't have to write down the full name or even the initials of the player. This person did that.
No.
It's just a matter of sort of hitting a button for who it was and a button for what the play was and a button for what the result was or something.
That's right, yes.
Right, okay. But still, they and when you say plays, you're not talking, it's not like American football where they're pre-designed plays. You're just talking plays as in this player went for a 3-point shot at this point of the game or something.
Yeah, yes, just individual things like that. 3-point shot, or there was a foul on the shot, a team turnover, or technical fouls as well, just the individual little plays. And they're summarised in the box score for each quarter and then available. So some people may watch the stats online as they happen.
Yep.
And then I'm sure that coaches of other teams who have access to those statistics will suss out other teams when they're coming up to play them in the future as well.
And John, how crucial is this role, or this combined role of these three people? How crucial is that to the whole team dynamic and the success of the team? Are they up there with the players themselves, every bit as significant?
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the games could go on without us easily.
Sure.
But just for tactics and game awareness, I think we're vital for the coaches.
And was it always the way? I mean, were there always people who filled these roles of the inputter and the spotter and the caller even before there were computers to make their job a lot easier?
I believe so. I never had to experience that, but I've had some people say they used to do it on paper, but I don't think they had to call as many things, but still it would have been a big job, especially when in one play you might have 3 or 4 actions, when a shot is missed and a tip in is missed and then a foul, and it can get quite hectic in short periods of time as well.
Oh, I can imagine. And tell me, in your role, do you inevitably each game fill one of these positions, or are you just overseeing the other 3 to make sure it all goes along nicely?
I'd like to get to the point where I'm overseeing and we have a good team, but most games I'm doing one of those roles.
So in that case, you would know what this is like. I would imagine that it's so fast-paced and the information is coming so quickly and there's so much going on that you would really understand that term. You can be physically fatigued, but you can also be mentally fatigued. You would understand what mental fatigue is actually, what it actually feels like by the end of a game or even by the end of a half, wouldn't you, really? What's that like?
Yes, we look forward to timeouts where we can just stop and just rest for a little bit, but it is very mentally fatiguing, especially when you do 2 games in a row as well. So we'll often do a women's game and then do the men's game.
And then after that's all done and it's all done and dusted, you're lying on a bench with a cold press on your forehead, I would imagine, are you?
Yes. A nice coffee or just a relaxing sit in the lounge chair and.
Oh, dear. I'm getting tense just thinking about it. So given that, to come back to your call for, or you're on the lookout for a spotter, wasn't it? How long, whoever gets that role eventually, how long does it take to break in a new spotter in this case? Give me a...
Well, I was specifically after a spotter for that game because I already had a caller and an inputter. But normally, the normal run of things, the spotter would also end up inputting and possibly calling as well. And it could take a season. Probably a person would watch and listen to the game and watch what we're doing on the computer. And Andrew from Basketball Queensland often will make a backup file, and a person can practice adding the inputs in on the computer while the game is going on and just get a hang of it without the pressure of the game.
Right.
And then we gradually ease them in. Maybe you can do a quarter now or you could do a half now, depending on their confidence and how well they know the game as well.
You talked in the ad about there is the potential with any of these positions to go on to higher levels and perhaps even fill these roles at an Olympic level. Tell me about, is that I guess career's not the word, but it's something that you could potentially go on to do in a lot more serious a way if you chose to take that path. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yes. Obviously, you would need to get a lot more experience and work your way up through the levels. But certainly there's a pathway to the Olympics for the basketball tournaments. Basketball Queensland is quite keen to get as many Queenslanders working in the technical area as they can. So if you're keen and know a bit about basketball and a little bit younger, the pathway to the Olympics is very viable. And also there's the pathway to NBL too, I suppose, calling stats for the NBL and other championships that happen throughout the seasons.
And they would pay for that position, I would imagine, even though it would only be part-time. It would be for money.
Yeah. I imagine, I'm guessing for those NBL and the bigger games, it'd be payment per game. I'm not sure. I don't know. For us, we get a little payment, which we're very thankful for per game. But for the NBL and the Olympics, I'm not sure how that would work. I guess for the Olympics, it might be voluntary, but for NBL, I don't know.
There you go. Sky's the limit. If you've got the quick thinking ability, if you've got the temerity to handle the position, then it could go a long way. John Werth there, he's statistics coordinator with the Toowoomba Mountaineers. They've got a couple of positions going. If you're interested, he'd love you to get in touch. Just jump on the Toowoomba Mountaineers website and send an email to the general email address there. And he'd love to talk to you. 9 past 9, ABC Southern Queensland.